G'day and welcome to another Busy Business Digital Solutions live webinar. I'm Dante St. James presenting to you for something that's close to my heart because it's my own framework, the 2, 3, 4, 5 content framework designed for people who really don't like social media to get pretty much endless lots of social media content, but it's also very useful for things like YouTube or maybe even for the stuff you're putting on your website. We've got a lot of people online this morning, so thank you so much. Oh, it's this morning where I am in Western Australia at the moment, but of course, in the next couple of days I'll be in Queensland, so it's going to be all over the place. Please excuse my thick, foggy voice. I'm currently battling a bit of a head cold, which I'm hoping is nice and clear for tomorrow. I've got a big 5-hour workshop tomorrow, so I need that to be clear. Big sleep tonight and not too much hard work today, just a lot of laptop work I'm leaving myself doing. So let's get underway and learn a bit about what this framework is and how you can use it to become a little bit less of a slave to your social media and making it maybe even a little bit more fun. So what we're going to cover is what the framework is, what the 4 numbers we're looking at, what the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5 are. We're looking at the maths and how we make this something that's sustainable rather than just something that is going to be yet another thing to do on your list. We look at the story layer by the 5th angle, which is the 5. You'll see what it is soon. What makes that the thing that people remember. We'll look at where people are with social media in Australia in 2026. Look at using AI tools, and one in particular that I've got for you that I built myself to help myself with this. I'm going to open up and let you use as well. And also a bit of a plan for your first 30 days of putting this all into action. Let's get underway. So most content stalls, not really from a lack of ideas, because we're humans. We've got endless ideas and endless creativity. What we do is we have a lack of structure with which to unlock that creativity and unlock those ideas. We don't really run out of ideas. We run out of ways to extract them. So the amount of hours that some people spend on social media can be 3 to 10 hours, which is overall quite unsustainable when you never really got into business to be a social media manager in the first place. Very few people ever have a documented content plan where they can go, this is what I'm doing this week. I definitely have one. I use a Google sheet to track down all the things I'm doing. It's even got a role for me when I'm on a flight where I can access that sheet when I'm offline and still put in the ideas. But that's the beauty of it, is I don't have to come up with everything on that first day. I just have to come up with the story that I'm going to tell about that particular thing. A lot of people would say that if they are following a social media account, particularly around business or educational information, that they would switch in a heartbeat, and the 73% of them would switch to another channel to look at that stuff in if that channel went quiet. But around 70% of us trust content that feels human. I think a lot of us have come burned from formal education where we just go, you know what, we're sick of being treated like machines. We're sick of being treated like we're nothing. We want to feel a connection to the people. And that's particularly really me sipping on my hot drinks a lot, so please excuse me today. We're looking for something a bit more connected, and it's particularly very strong in younger demographics. Well, not that millennials are so young anymore; they're in their 40s now. But in those 40 and under demographic, it's very, very important to feel very connected through that brand. And before we write off Gen Z, remember they are adults now. They're buying washing machines, they're buying services, they're starting to have kids, they're putting those kids in school. They're pretty much the new adults now. Right. So we've got 4 numbers we concentrate on: the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5. What do they mean? Well, the first one is number 2, and that's our core topics. The only 2 things we're allowing ourselves to talk about in our social media posts. So what are those 2 things? They're like pillars, right? They turn our writing into a selection, not invention. So we're not going outside of our area of expertise, because when we go outside of the area of expertise, we can't talk to those things very well. We have no authority, no experience. All we've got is AI feeding information in, and people can really see through that. I think the internal BS detector in us sort of goes off with spidey senses, letting us know this isn't real. This person is not known in this area. So what we need to do is name 2 topics that every post must belong to. So I've got a couple of things in my 2 topics. For example, I have digital skills, and I have entrepreneurship. The two things I talk about: starting a business, and then the digital skills that become so vital in running that business as well, which makes sense because that's a lot of what I do. Even though I might own cafes and bloody barbershops, but I also have training companies. Those training companies are much more sort of tied up with teaching entrepreneurial skills and digital business skills as well. So that make sure you have those two topics. Now they need to be broad enough so you never really run out of content for them, but also specific enough so that when you talk about those things, it makes 100% sense to people who see you talk about those things. They go, yeah, she's an expert in that. I can trust that because this is what she talks about all the time. Then there's the brand values, or I call them your values, really. And these are the filter that sort of flavors what you're doing. What we're talking about here is what flavors and shapes your post that's more than just information. It's actually showing your values. I've got three of these. In my case, they're honesty, it is approachability, and effectiveness. I believe that for myself, being honest is at the root of everything. If you don't like something, you say you don't like it, but then you have to back that up. You can't just be an opinionated person. You have to be able to back your opinions with facts or some kind of experiential evidence. The second one being approachability for me. It actually feels like a real stab in the gut if someone feels like they couldn't approach me over something. So for me, being approachable, being available is a very important thing to me. That's not important to everybody. These are just my values. By no means do these need to be yours. And so it's three words really. And then the effectiveness is that I would hate to think that I go to all this trouble of providing all this stuff and someone finds me completely ineffective in the things that I provide them. So that's really where my core values are. We have yours because we're going to use this, the two topics, the three brand values, and the next one, the customer cohorts, as our way of scheduling what we're going to write about each day, each week, whatever the particular cadence of writing is going to be for you. So speaking of number four, the customer cohorts, it's for specific people who buy from you. So it's not one particular target market that speaks to nobody in particular. It's for real reasons customers choose you. So in my case, it would be small business owners who often work on their own, who are looking for an edge that allows them to grow their businesses without having to put on staff. That to me would be a very specific customer cohort I'm looking for. Coming up though, I've got a way for you to actually map out who your customer cohort is without having to sort of guess like I just did there. And then we've got our content angles. These are 5 questions that change a topic into a post. So there's 5 questions. You'll see what they are very shortly. And you answer one of these questions in each of the posts you're going to have. Now, of course, 2 topics, 3 values, 4 cohorts, 5 angles. How are you going to remember all this? Well, the good thing is you don't actually have to do it because we're going to use systems to do this for us. But think about the 2 topics, right? We looked at that briefly. What counts? What are the things that you could talk to a customer about for 20 posts? Or actually, could you talk to a customer for 20 minutes about this topic without having to stop or repeating yourself? That's the kind of stuff that a customer would feel trustworthy with you about because you know what you're talking about. It doesn't mean our business or our updates or exciting news or here's a great opportunity, nothing like that. Anything that's so broad, it's an everyday stray idea, goes straight out the side door. No one notices that. Your exciting news or your exciting updates are not exciting for anyone else but you. So what we need to do is get that language out of our posts because it really is just, it's a bit of a lie. It's not exciting at all. It's just what you've got a new product in store. That's not exciting for anyone else but you. The test is if an idea doesn't clearly belong to either your topic 1 or your topic 2, it's not going to be a post. So we need to park that one and move on. So when we put this together in a framework, this is going to make so much more sense to you and you'll see the way it works. So let's just say topic 1 is, I'm going to use my own digital skills. And the second one is entrepreneurship. Surprised I actually spelled those correctly. So I've got my 2 pillars. You're also going to get a version of this interactive guide at the end as well. So when I send you through all the replay and all that, you'll get all this as well as the tool that I'm going to give you free access to be able to make yours as well. So 2 topics. Now, trust is based upon an alignment. So if someone feels aligned to what you're doing, what you're selling, especially if you're selling high ticket products and services, like things that are beyond something you can buy for 20 bucks, I'm talking about you're selling your time, your expertise, your brain, your experiences, you're selling all that as a service. 62% of people have said in Australia that their purchase decisions are shaped by a brand's values. They also buy from brands that share their personal values and will pay more for a brand that they trust. But how do you come across that trust and make sure that those values are communicated? We don't write, at Smith Plumbing, reliability is one of our core values. It's like all those old slogans which say, we truly put our customers first. It's like, if you have to say that, then you probably don't. You're trying to convince yourself you do that. We don't really react very well to when people say, these are our values, this is our promise to you. We don't believe any of it because we've all been burned by that before, where, oh yeah, customers come first until we've got a problem, or customer service is our point of difference. It's like, well, customer service should be everybody's point of difference. It's not a point of difference, it's just common. So don't write things like, at Smith Plumbing, reliability is one of our core values. What you do is, you explain that core value in action. Got the call at 6 a.m. on site by 7:15. Here's what I keep in the van, so that's always possible. It's the same kind of value expressed, but we don't have to say it when we're demonstrating it. The story we tell does the storytelling of what our values are. We don't have to say these are our values. Now, obviously, to try and write this by hand, unless you really, really enjoy writing social media posts, it's going to be hard. So we're going to use AI very shortly to be able to do that. So we pick the topic first, then we ask which of our three values that this post should quietly demonstrate. So if we say topic is digital skills, and I go, well, out of my three values, the Monday post I'm going to do is going to be digital skills plus which value? Well, the first value was honesty. So digital skills flavored with a bit of honesty. So the story I tell is going to be about expressing my honesty in that topic of digital skills. So again, this will make so much more sense when we draw it out on things like spreadsheets, right? It makes so much sense. So the usual advice is that we go for one ideal customer. We must niche down, niche down, niche down. But honestly, niching is probably the worst thing you could do in today's business environment because everything changes so quickly. And the other thing is too, that the first thing that AI comes to replace is people who do one thing over and over and over. So you do need to have more than one specific ideal customer. I've got down 4 because what it does, it helps to create a pattern of the different posts we're creating. So think about, you're the same business, but you have 4 different doors which people can walk in through you. Each one of them has a different set of needs. Each one of them has a different kind of objection. Each one of them has a different kind of thing that appeals to them that may help them to come through that door. So for instance, my ideal customers are starting with solopreneur business owners, so single one-person business owners. Then it's small businesses with employees or other people in the business. Then it is those who are thinking of starting a business but haven't yet started it and probably working a full-time job now, coming to a point in their career where they don't really want to work in a job anymore. They might be working for government and they want to get some meaning or some control over their own income. And the fourth one is young students, specifically international students, who are getting their qualifications and realize that they are not going to be able to easily find a job with their university degree. So they want to start their own business with that. So 4 different kind of people that I'm trying to reach. And it will depend on who I'm writing that for that day as to what combination. So you're starting to think that my day one, my Monday post is going to be for digital skills, right? The second one's my value, which is honesty. The third one is going to be for a solopreneur, one person business owner. So now I know that that post is about, I'm already half doing the post because I've got what I'm talking about. I've got what value am I expressing in there and who I'm targeting it at. The next bit though is the way that people will buy from you. So think about, so your different kinds of customers will be the kind of people who are price sensitive. They might be people who, this is a case of a real estate agent or property manager, or someone who is looking to make changes to their home. You think about the different doors that people will come through, those 4 different doors. So again, this will be available to you in the replay and all that. We don't have to go through these specific examples just now. So if I think of a cohort, we think, who are they? In my case, one person business owners. Their age or life status, I'm going to say the one person business owner is usually around about 42. And why they want to buy from me, they want to know how to do things faster than learning on their own, learning alone. So one person business owner is 42, buys because they want to know how to do things faster than learning alone. So that would be what my cohort is. So that little cohort builder will be sent to you as well as part of the information pack you get as the resources at the end of this. So you can start to articulate that also in a way that we're going to feed into our AIs. They'll help us to be able to articulate that really clearly. This is my favorite bit because this is all about the 5 different questions that give us the endlessness of the posts we're going to be producing. First thing we're going to do is, what can I teach? This is the thing that customers routinely get wrong, or that you're always having to tell customers how to do or how to work on. So, for instance, my Monday example would be, I'm writing for a one-person business owner using my honesty as a value. Then I'm targeting. Sorry, sorry. I've got like such a flu coming on right now. Feels like I'm going through menopause, just overheating. So the first one being the topic I'm talking about. So that is digital skills. The second thing is the value, which is the honesty. Third thing is the person, the one person business. And the fourth thing is, what can I teach? So that's the 2, 3, the 4, the 5. We've also got, what have I noticed? Which is a bit of a pattern you might notice across the market, across your clients, across people out there. You might have seen it on TV, seen it all over YouTube or social media, these patterns that apply to your industry, your business, or the thing that you do. Then there's how do I differ, which is, a little bit of contrarian, maybe a little bit of contrarian advice, I suppose, where you go, well, how do I think different about this specific topic than others tend to? So you're not saying, well, unlike other girls, I think this. It's more of a case of, people are always saying this, but in my experience, it's been this. Then the fourth one is, what's the process? So a short list or steps, or it could be just, four quick tips to help you to get your digital day less cluttered, something like that. And then the final one's a bit of storytelling. It's what happened and what part did I have to play in it? So a real event that you might have done with a call that you made, or a customer that you met, or some kind of decision that you made that had an outcome, usually positive, that you can talk about. I talk about a lot of negative outcomes in mine as well, because that's part of my approachability thing. So you start to see why I do that. It's very, very core to my values that I don't just do the highlight reel of my career and my life. I also say, here's the parts where I can write royally stuffed up. So I can make it very clear to people that I am an approachable human, not just some superhuman who always seems to win all the time. So here I am in a hotel in Perth, unable to leave because I've got the flu. So it's like, I clearly lose sometimes. So what we'll do in here, if we start to look at this, we're going to look at any topic from our business. So I'm going to say the topic could be, it's hard to learn digital skills when you're over 40. Say that because I am. So we can say the 3 things. So I'm going to be the generator here. The 3 things I always check before I start on it, before I start working on this. So I can say posting social media content could be one of the topics from my business. 3 things I always check before I start on posting social media content. Most people never think to ask. Let's look at another angle on that. Something I keep seeing, so this is what have I know, something I keep seeing with posting social media content that nobody talks about. How do I think differently? Most advice on posting social media content gets this backwards. Here's how I actually approach it. What process? So the steps, here's my 4-step process for posting social media content. And also the what happened and how do I contribute? What happened on a recent posting social media content job, and the call that I made that changed the outcome. So it's giving you sort of a picture of the way that AI is going to see this as the thing that you are talking about. So you've got to obviously put in your personal story to this to bring it to life. But it looks at the 5 angles, but then you go, there's 10 posts from 2 topics with no repetition. So what we're seeing here is it's going to take you so many posts before anything that you've done is going to sound even remotely like the things you've done before. Basically, 39 posts a quarter if you're doing 3 a week. So that's 39 posts, which is over 13 weeks, which is 3 weeks, which means that's a quarter of a year. So you can do that and in 3 months' time, repeat the whole thing over again, or create 6 months in one block, which is going to be double 39. And then you're going to have 78, which is going to then have you able to go, well, I don't have to worry about having to repeat things for 6 months. Trust me, no one's following your social media that closely. They would even notice that you posted this same thing 3 months ago. So that's something you can do. Then what can I teach? Another angle, 3 things I always check before I start. So you can work through that at your own pace once I send that through to you to help you sort of see how that rotation would work and how AI is going to help you to be able to flick those different things through in a sequence. We need to look beyond just facts and look at stories as well. So the fact is what we often go to social media with. So when I go into a lot of our community groups and places, I went into a community group in Bustleton in WA yesterday. I was looking for ways to promote something I have coming up in that town. And excuse me, and what I saw in there was a whole bunch of small businesses just saying, we install ceiling fans, fully licensed and insured, call for a quote, that kind of thing, that kind of just pump, pump, pump and get those sales in because, that's what we need to do. And, those community groups that have that kind of post in it, they really don't have any sort of reach because people are just sick of being advertised to. But a fact could also be handmade soy candles, 6 cents, $28 each, free shipping over $75. Again, that's the facts. But if we look at the story, pulled a fan down yesterday and found it wired straight into a light circuit with no isolation switch. 20 minutes of dodgy work, years of risk. Here's the 3 things I checked before signing off on the new one. Or in the case of the soy candles, the story would be a customer emailed to say our lavender candle got her through the first sleepless week with a newborn. That's the email I reread when a batch sets badly, I'm struggling and I'm tempted to cut a corner. That's the kind of thing, the difference. Instead of saying, I'm selling these to you, this is telling the story of why I should trust you, especially if I usually buy my candles from Kmart and don't want to buy them from someone who is selling them for 3 times the price, but it maybe has a story attached to that as well. Story wins because 92% of people want ads that feel like a story. And you see that online all the time is that, and TikTok gets this probably more right than anything. You see TikTok ads feel like TikToks, they don't feel like ads. But that's also because most TikToks now seem to feel like ads because it feels like everybody's selling something on TikTok. Much the same with Instagram Reels. Sometimes feel like everything is an ad. So when you add the story to it, it does feel a little bit less like an ad. 70% of people will retain a message told as a story as opposed to told as a set of facts. We tend to remember stories, not facts, because one of them hits not just our frontal lobe of logic, but also hits our back of our brain as emotional reaction as well. And 70% of people trust content with real people. So getting your big face on a camera like I'm doing right now is part of that winning trust method. And also 55% of them remember a story over a list of facts. So that's telling that the story is really the best way to do this. But what you need to understand is how many posts are sustainable for you. Because honestly, I post too much, 3 to 4 a day. That's too much. That's because I've got a routine. I've got a very specific routine I follow, and I've got a lot of things I need to cover and promote as well. But 3 posts that you can realistically write using this method, and it makes it much easier when there's AI involved, means there's 13 posts a month, 39 a quarter, 78 every 6 months. If you really want to go for 5, 6, or even 7 a week, it's very ambitious. I would start with the 3 simply because that's kind of the sweet spot of what people are really okay with. So if you get 3 a week, that means you're going to be covering, you're not going to be repeating anything, any combination of your cohorts or like we're talking about like nearly a year before you'll see that same combination of topic, value, cohort, and question repeated. So that's going to give you so much content to work on, particularly, as I said, when we use AI, which I am getting to. 65.3% of the local population is still on Facebook. 66% of social referred traffic coming to Australia comes from Facebook. So that's our traffic to websites. Definitely Facebook's the king there. And 1 to 2 times daily is the benchmark cadence for pages who are producing some kind of content. So it doesn't mean you have to produce content. What it means is that you may need to do a bit of work in Facebook groups in order to reach people that your page doesn't usually reach. On YouTube, about 77.7% of the population are using it, the biggest audience of any platform. One time a week is absolutely enough. If you can produce more than that, good luck to you, because I struggle to do one a week. And what I do is usually just put up these webinars that you're on right now onto my YouTube channel for that. So that's really kind of cheating because I'm already doing it in another format. Search, though, is really important. YouTube is very much used as your how-to engine. Instagram and TikTok is an entertainment channel. Honestly, with the under 16 restrictions now, we can assume that it's pretty much all adults that are on these platforms, including TikTok, apart from the kids that know how to get around the blocks and the checks. About a third of Australians are using social platforms to research their products and brands as well, particularly in the younger demographics. I'm not going to talk about X because pretty much no one's using it these days. It used to be called Twitter, just in case you were wondering what X actually is. So what we now need to do is get into AI without losing our voice. So what we've found is that that you can do your voice through your graphics in something like Canva. So you can set your brand kit in Canva and your voice can carry through the graphics of what you're producing. But also, you're probably going to use something like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini to help you write these things. So we can say something like, if we said something like, write me a social media post about plumbing, we get generic in, we're going to get generic stuff out of it. It's not going to sound very personal at all. If we say the right prompt with, the topic, the value it should demonstrate, the cohort you're speaking to, and which of the 5 angles you're looking at, your worksheet that you've got that we're going to be putting together in a second is what you're basically pasting in and going, create this combination of it. Even more so, I reckon just skip all that and just go straight for something that actually works straight away. I built content steps to help me do this, and then I opened it up for people. And you don't need the paid version; just use it with a free version. It's fine. As I log into the content steps, I've actually got a step by step 2, 3, 4, 5 version here. 2, 3, 4, 5. You say I'm going to write this maybe for myself. So I've got a number of profiles in there. I'm going to then continue. So where's my continue button? Where is it? That's a little bug. No, it's hidden. Sorry, it's hidden behind my Zoom panel. There we go. So now it's already got my topics built in. So I'm going to choose my topics. I'm going to choose entrepreneurship and digital skills. So get rid of that one there. Just have these two. Then I'm going to click continue again. Now I've already set this up to have my stuff in it. So I'm going to say authenticity, which is my honesty, approachability, and effectiveness are my 3 values. Let's continue. And as we continue on through these, so this one, this one, this one, and continue. And then I'm going to suggest who it is that I wanted, or who I want to actually work with. So small business owners, solopreneurs. I want to look for career changes and students, people at the beginning of their journey, like I was saying before. Continue. And then it's got the 5 questions. Just remind you what those 5 questions are before we continue. And what I'm looking to do is create something like long text for LinkedIn. So I'm just going to create them for LinkedIn and continue. And then set a date range of when I'm going to start these posts. Let's say I start next Monday and I'm going to end it. Look, it's about 13 weeks. So let's go to where 13 weeks would end. It'll take me to there, the 9th. So that's where I'm going to end. 92 days, can't be longer than 13 weeks. Let's go back a little bit then. That's a bit better. 13 weeks and continue. So how many posts per day do I produce? Just 1 a day is just enough for me. And I'm going to do 3 posts a week. So 3 days every other day is now giving me my routine. It's generating my plan. It's going to then give me on Monday, August 10, I'm going to have the topic of entrepreneurship, the value of authenticity, and the question of what can I teach someone, meanwhile, with the small business owner cohort. I'm going to add in a little story here. So I'm going to say, so for entrepreneurship, authenticity, and small business owners, I'm going to go, starting a business is one thing, but keeping a business going is another. You start being a marketer, and marketer, and you end up being a bookkeeper as your business grows. Except I was really bad at this. It understands my spelling errors. Like just picks it up because it's going to annoy me. Except I was really bad at this and nearly lost my business until I learned that I could outsource some of this stuff for less than what my hourly rate would be to do this myself. So that's a bit of a story I'm putting in there. Generate the content. This will now give me the bones of what I'm going to produce in here. This one uses Claude, their sonnet model to generate this sort of stuff. And here's something no one tells you when you start a business. The hardest part is in the launch. Is staying afloat once the excitement fades. I learned this the hard way. I started out as a marketer, full of ideas and energy, and slowly found myself buried in spreadsheets, invoices, and bookkeeping I had no business doing. I was rubbish at it, and worse, I was quietly draining the life out of my business. I nearly lost everything because I refused to admit I couldn't do it all. So there's my story. It's got the storytelling. It's talking about entrepreneurship. It's authentic. It's talking to business owners, and it's like I can teach someone something about this. So I've now got that in there. And once I've developed all this, I can download it as a CSV or an Excel file or a PDF and get that down and generate that into my social media planner, my scheduling tool, or your Meta Business Suite, or wherever you want to do that. This is absolutely free. You can use this one. So I'll be sending through after this an email with all the details of not only how to understand the plan, but how to build this plan into this tool as well. So free account, you don't need to pay for it, and you'll be able to use the full Anthropic Claude sonnet model to be able to do this within as well. There's a bunch of other things in here too. If you just wanted to write LinkedIn posts, you can, or just short things, so like short reels for like reels, TikToks, YouTube shorts, all that sort of stuff. They're all the little step-by-step things you can do. But in your 2, 3, 4, 5 steps, that's the one we're looking at specifically today that I build. And yes, this is how I plan out my own content, is in my own system, of course. So once you've got access to that, you're able to do all that stuff we've been trying to talk about today. And I'll also give you this online guide, which gives you all the information we're just talking about, and also goes through how to understand who those cohorts could be. Little tools there for you to work that out. So once you do the guide, you then copy and paste that across to content steps, and then you start creating your content through there. So again, all of that will come to you. You'll be able to use that for free. That's part of what I do on this program, is not only show you how to do things, but give you the tools to help you do those as well, so you can actually grow your business, again, without having to throwing lots of money and resources at it when it's absolutely unnecessary to do that. And trust me, this system costs me about 6 cents a day to run, so I'm not going to go broke if you suddenly start hammering it with all your stuff in there as well. Well, that is all I have for you. What if you did register for this, which all of you would have, otherwise you wouldn't be here. You'll get all of this sent through in an email a little bit later today. So thank you for joining me. I hope that's been helpful for you to try and kind of make sense in a very fluid kind of way in my head of how I do it. And it might be a really good idea to help you to do it for yourself without becoming so overwhelmed with producing content all the time. Wouldn't it be nice if you just do it in one batch for 3 months, get it out the door, and you don't have to think about it again? And the whole theory about that is that if you're doing it, say, on a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday each week, if something exciting does come up that you do want to write about, you've got Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday and Sunday to put in whatever you like as well. The beauty is, though, next week, when you have a really down week and you're just not feeling it at all, well, then you've got this beautiful example of having stuff coming through that's on brand, on target. It's going all the right places, speaking in your voice, but you don't have to do it because it's already been done in the background for you.